Canabama has been on this corner since 2018, and with the new law taking effect on Tuesday, it could jeopardize their business.
But this is an unnecessary death. This is an unnecessary business closing. And it's my life's work. It's my kingdom work. God gave me the name Canabama and a vision, and this was not part of it. So, Canabama will be no more.
Some breaking news, new details from Homewood Police about the officer-involved shooting that killed 18-year-old Jabari Peoples. Good evening, I'm Sherry Jackson.
And I'm Carly Lang. This happened on Monday night in the parking lot of the Homewood Soccer Park.
Tonight, in a written statement, the Homewood Police Department says an officer was patrolling the Homewood Soccer Complex Monday night around 9:30 when he came across Jabari Peoples and another person in a vehicle. Police say as the uniformed officer approached the vehicle, he noticed a smell of marijuana. He then ordered both Peoples and the other person out of the car. While Peoples exited the vehicle, police say the officer noticed a handgun in the car door. The officer then tried to place Peoples under arrest for unlawful possession of marijuana. The release goes on to say that Peoples began to resist, breaking away from the officer and grabbing the gun. Police say the officer then fired one shot, hitting Peoples. The 18-year-old was transported to the hospital where he later died.
And he was, from what we're told, the young lady said he was cooperating, done everything that the officer asked him to do.
Sherry, right now, for the Peoples family says they have not yet seen that body camera video, and this investigation is being headed by the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency.
It'll be hard because I want to know what happened to my son. What was hard was going down there seeing my son laying there cold and Lavender Funeral Home. That's what was hard.
And not knowing
the truth about that's what was hard. After he was shot by police, immediately I knew it wasn't nothing Jabari did. It was on the police because I knew my son. And I knew he knew everything because we didn't talk to them about it. That's sad to say. But we have taught them this. And we have even said it. I know he wouldn't resist it for no more.
For what?
We talk about that. When I would tell, be careful, he would have known, take that, go there, get that little fine, call your mama. I'm coming to get you. He would have never resisted for a sack of weed.
You know, there's a store off of Interstate 65 in Shelby County that you can get a slushy, 50 milligram slushy, and enjoy on your way to the beach. And that's just unfathomable to me, and we've got to put them out of business. They have to get guardrails and stop this.
You mentioned put them out of business. You mentioned guardrails. Let's talk about this bill. Some of the key. Some hemp industry advocates argue that the measure goes too far and could put them out of business.
We've got some work to do on it, and the senators have some concerns, but I think it's going to make our bill stronger from the comments and things that we've heard. So I'm looking forward to working with the Senate and getting this passed. Do away with all the inhalables, the vapes, and things of that nature.
It also removes it from convenience stores and limits how much you can buy.
When you're able to buy 50 milligrams in Shelby County on Interstate 65 in a slushy machine, we've got a true problem. So I said, get your slushy on the way to the beaches no more.
Representative Witt's bill is now headed to the governor for her signature.
Canabama in downtown Mobile was the first hemp dispensary to open in the state of Alabama.
I'm going out of business. You know, we lost a lot during COVID. I lost 3 locations. And the financial devastation that COVID brought to a lot of small businesses. And so we were not in a position to take heavy losses.
Boozer says her business immediately tanked by about 25% as soon as Governor Kay Ivey signed a law in May. She says it's the final straw in a series of setbacks that includes 7 burglaries since she opened in 2018. Boozer says a lawsuit challenging the law that a judge in Montgomery considered Monday is too little too late, even if it succeeds.
We will have a little more time to sell off our inventory and challenge it in court. For me, that means I'll get to hopefully get some of my money back, but it will not change my fate.
Okay, thank you this is unusual, but we're trying to do our best to get everyone in and out. Before we start, so if you would introduce him.
So I have Tyler Adams paging with us this week from Park Crossing.
Right now, Aaliyah denying the family's request to see the body cam footage of their 18-year-old son, Jabari Peoples' fatal encounter with law enforcement.
A Homewood police officer shot and killed Peoples at the Homewood soccer complex. Aaliyah says showing the video would affect their ongoing investigation, adding, in accordance with state law and in the interest of protecting the constitutional rights of everyone involved, as well as prioritizing a thorough law enforcement investigation of the recorded subject matter, Aaliyah respectfully declined to make the requested disclosure. Now, 6 on your side, breaking news reporter Taylor Pollock joins us live after asking questions about the new state law regarding who can see body cam videos.
Taylor, this might be the first investigation in the state.
It might be, yes, and I have to tell you, people are continuing to call for answers in the wake of 18-year-old Jabari Peoples' death.
Yeah, this is one of 2 CBD stores here in Clanton that were raided on Monday, and they're both owned by the same person. Now, the owner was not here when the stores were raided, so he allowed us to talk to an employee who went through the ordeal on Monday.
He said, I have a search warrant for this building.
Joshua Spruill has worked in CBD stores for more than 5 years. He never thought he'd be subjected to a police raid since he says they're following the law.
They took all the pre-rolls. They took all the bud that was in vacuum sealed bags. They took all of our dabs as well. That's going to be the wax form, the diamond form, and all that stuff.
Spruill says officers immediately disabled their security cameras, which he thought was suspicious. Then he says they took a crowbar to the safe.
They took the register. They took all the money out of the registers. They broke into our safes, and they are claiming that as to be drug money. And they froze up all my boss's accounts.
In the end, Spruill estimates authorities seized more than 65% of the store's inventory and about $30,000 in cash. Abby Lee Rice works at a CBD store in Troy. She was on duty when authorities raided that establishment. She spoke about it on social media, saying they can prove the products they sell are legal.
We have all of our lab work. They didn't even care about the lab work that I had. I kept telling them those jars that's the lab work on them. Like, those are the lab work. They didn't care about any of that.
The Alabama Attorney General defends the raid, saying they were prompted by community complaints, and what they found inside is no different than what illegal drug dealers are selling on the streets.
Let's make it abundantly clear. This is not hemp. This is marijuana. And when field tested for purposes of probable cause, THC levels exponentially higher than would otherwise be lawful under the Farm Bill.
Now, a new state law that goes into effect next week will actually make many of the products sold in stores like this illegal. So right now, stores like this are trying to move that inventory out. They're trying to get rid of those products very quickly. And that means they've got a lot of sales happening right now and a lot of cash flow. Both Spruill and Rice say they believe these raids on Monday were actually an effort to remove those products now and seize that cash. Live in Clanton, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
He is getting an eyeful today. So, Representative Witt, I think you have a page with you today.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm certainly proud to introduce my friend, Grayson Mitchell. Grayson is a junior at Athens High School, and today he is getting to see our government in work.
So I commend you for this bill, but I wonder what's the difference between this and alcohol? I mean, essentially, tobacco, alcohol is bad for you, to some degree as well, but people consume it. So the age requirement, some of the restrictions make sense, but it seems like we're just moving too fast on some of these restrictions, where we understand that we don't want a 6-year-old or anyone of that nature to be able to consume these products, but
okay,
so someone 21 or older.
I'll be glad to answer that. I just showed you in my presentation there with my show and tell, if you took half of the gummy that I presented to you, that was a bottle of 80% vodka. That's the difference. If you put half a gummy in your mouth, that is almost like a full bottle of vodka. That is the difference.
So compared to alcohol, what is the death ratio? Like
I don't have the death ratio of that. Again, this has only been in operation. Two things before I leave, and Mr. Chairman, I want you to, committee members, listen to what I heard today. Money and health. Money and health. And I think that's where we're at with this bill, and that's what's held these bills up in the past, and I think it's time that we do this. ABC has the ability to take on the additional responsibility. They'll be visiting the 21 and older stores, and then with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions later.
We're going to wind it down on this one. Thank everyone that I'm sorry, we should have known that before. I mean, if y'all would have let us know, we'd have made sure. Well, okay, but not today. All right, everyone, as you exit out the door to go out this door, the others will come in.
Promises made, promises kept, and we're just getting started.
We have apples and oranges, and a lot of the analysis of hemp in the 2018 Farm Bill, it allowed and opened the door for research, development, and capital investment into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Many of the Alabama citizens invested hundreds of millions of dollars responsibly over the last 6 years, I being one of them. I'm a CPA father, been married 30 years, and have 3 overachieving children. And I am very, very concerned and very, very supportive of at least some form of regulation. However, I do not support in the way that this bill is presently written. I think that you're comparing, like was just mentioned, you're having control of ABC versus or 21 and over versus grocery stores, which you do support and do sell to only 21 and over. So it ought to be beer and wine versus a liquor. And you can have one governing body that does that. But if this bill is passed the way it is, it's going to affect over $100 million in current small business revenue and the taxes, and it's going to bankrupt over 1,000 small businesses. And in grocery stores, you're going to have 20 and 30 foot sections of their store shelves emptied. And we are all for responsible legislation. So please, as my 99-year-old mother-in-law said, please ask these lawmakers to support enterprising, innovative small business efforts in a responsible way.
You represent Pringle.
Ms. Chair, if you don't mind, supported the bill. Some folks came to talk to me prior to about the sub, which was helpful, but I know we're rocking and rolling now. But I like to see the thing. So at all costs, I guess it's for me, if we can get something to me in writing so I want to be true to what I've always said. I need to know what I'm voting on.
Yeah, I'm good with that, and we'll make sure.
Thank you, Ms. Chair.
What I want to be careful of is not to overstep our bounds, especially while we still wait on medical cannabis to be available in the state of Alabama, that the patients and people that we already deal with are able to get products safely that handle their needs until they have that alternative. I can tell you, countless veterans, countless cancer patients, and I never want to speak of this as a medicine. The FDA would frown upon that. But I do want to say that since we've started this, I've seen veterans walk back from the edge, cancer patients with relief. So please be careful and thoughtful if possible. Form a committee that we can go more deeply into this and get proper regulations at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? All right, Senator Coleman.
Thank you. My question actually is not for the gentleman. It's more to the chairman when he finishes. Mr. Chair.
Sorry, go ahead.
So you and I talked briefly about doing something on the floor, and I also agree that we need to do something, but also not penalize the folks who are already doing it right. The substitute that you've mentioned, do we already know the elements of the substitute at this point?
I say no. We're doing it kind of like we did the PBM bill.
On July 1st, the sale and possession of those products becomes punishable as a Class C felony under HB 445.
It's mind-boggling to me that we can go 20 years behind with a stroke of a pen.
Owner Jason Paul says the change in hemp regulation will cause his business to lose more than $1 million in revenue each year.
God gave me the name Cannabama one day while I was reading my Bible on my patio. Mm-hmm. And I had been praying for months because I was still 3 years clean, newly trying to live a totally different life, learn how to live again and be human. Yeah. And I wanted to be of service, and I got half a music education degree from the 90s. It's not worth the paper it would have been written on, you know? Yeah. And I hadn't had a job since 2001. Yeah. I was 22, you know, minimum wage was still $4.25 an hour in the 1900s, you know? And so, but I knew that people needed to understand, and I was compelled. I couldn't stop talking about it. It had done so much for me in so many avenues and areas of my life that I knew somebody that had each one of those issues. Maybe they didn't have all of them, but they had this insomnia issue, and they had the plantar fasciitis, and they had the terrible PMS, all of those things. And I couldn't stop thinking of people and meeting people I could help. But who was I? A stay-at-home mom, you know? So I had to really know my stuff. And so, but yeah, God gave me the name Cannabama and put a vision on me that I haven't even begun to really see come to fruition, just scratching the surface.
But you did.
And it's big, yeah. Well, no, part of it, the beginning of it, yes, has come to fruition, but the long game vision is vast. And right now in my position in life, I can't even imagine how I'll accomplish it, but I know I will.
All right. And I just saw a suit walk in, and I don't know if I can get away with that.
We expect that also prohibits the sale of inhalables such as the flower, the plant itself, the vape, anything that is smokable that you see. And with that, I have a tax rate of 7% on it, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. But banning one without the other is like trying to ban vodka and forgetting about moonshine. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Promises made, promises kept, and we're just getting started.
By controlling this industry.
Previously, Alabama Senator Greg Albritton says he's voted against every gambling bill in Alabama.
What I'm not willing to do is not allow this industry simply to grow unchecked in Alabama.
So now he's introducing a gambling legislation for the 2022 session. Legislation that will give the state more control over a lottery and casinos, something it doesn't have regarding operations run by the Porch Band of Creek Indians.
So that we can control its development and that we benefit from it, i.e. tax the devil out of it.
Albritton says
Do you foresee any further changes to this legislation as it goes back to the House?
If we're going to get votes out of there, or to get some kind of a concurrence, yeah, we're going to have those changes, some kind of changes there. And the difficulty there is the Senate doesn't want any changes, nor did the House want any changes. So we've got to find some kind of consensus there.
It's completely appalling. Illegal gaming is happening in all 67 counties of the state.
The bill
we're getting a slight increase in the number of doses that we'll be getting to the state. We're getting a slight increase in the number of doses that we'll be getting to the state.